Water transportation sector in Lagos State is receiving a lot of attention from the government. The general manager of the Lagos State Waterways Authority, Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, says about 2 million people use the waterways on a daily basis and are being monitored with the use of technology. He asked residents plying the waterways to report any irregularity found along the designated routes. Take a look.
The waterways around Lagos State is a sight to behold both in the morning and evening. But there is more to just admiring the beauty. It's now becoming one of the fastest modes of commuting in Lagos. And with the constant improvements, the Lagos State government is working to ensure it's one of the safest. With about 15 local government areas accessible by water in the state, 7 new jetties were commissioned across the state last year to develop the intermodal transportation scheme.
Citizens of Lagos State were particular to this community of Itoru and its environs.
The waterways is getting busier by the day, connecting millions of Lagosians who are either going to their place of work or personal business on a daily basis by reducing the travel time. I'm also towing that same line by embarking on a journey from Falomo to CMS to have a first-hand experience of the waterways route. The Lagos State Waterways Authority is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the smooth running of all vessels operating from 44 jetties and 12 terminals with daily average trip of 261 recorded by LASWA. Ferry services operated by the Lagos State government covers 27 routes with an average of 35 trips per day. We have just arrived at CMS Marina Terminal. It took us just 10 minutes to arrive here. At this particular location, intermodal transportation is fully operational. You can either go by train or by road or by waterways. Even with the stringent measures put in place by the government, some passengers still have their reservations about pricing and safety.
I often apply the water because it's much safer. It's safer and there's no hold up on the water.
I'm coming from Korodu, from Agric as well. But at the same time, waterway is better. 20-25 minutes is better than the road. But the only area I want them to work on it is they should be checking on their boat when they are picking passengers before they leave to anywhere they're going at all. That's just it. Because sometimes the boat will stop on the water, like now. 2 boats came to pick us, rescue us, before got to follow.
I'm actually coming from Ikorodu, Ebute side down to Falomo here. So it's faster for me from Ikorodu to this place is like 25 minutes plus or minus. I'm going to Falomo here, so why do I have to follow? Why do I have to use road transport? It's faster, though waterway is quite expensive. The last 2 weeks, it used to be 2,000, but funny, this morning is 2,002.
Private operators say they are also struggling to remain in business at this difficult period. One of the boat operators, Lekon Taiwo, expects government to invest more into the sector.
Charge 2,000 naira, and ideally we should charge 2,500 naira. At times in the evenings we charge as low as 1,500 naira, the same price we charge while fuel was selling at below 200 naira. It takes on the average 18 months to 24 months to break even. That is, you realize your capital back then, but at the moment it will take 5, 6, 7 years, and the engines can't last that long. It means that the business is not as viable and as lucrative as it used to be. Before now, we do 3, 4, 5 trips in the mornings and 1 or 2 trips in the evening. But now we do just 1 trip in the morning and 1 trip back in the evening. It costs an average of 25 to 30 million back then to build a 33-passenger boat, complete with brand new engines. Perhaps because of the exchange rates, at the moment it costs as much as 50, 60 million naira for the same facility. All over the world, transportation is subsidized. Government needs to subsidize the passengers' fare and then the operators' fuel and other overhead costs.
Another opportunity to join the state officials in charge as they test the waters to ensure everything is in order. The General Manager of the Lagos State Waterways Authority, Oluwadamilola Emmanuel, is on a boat ride with the Commissioner for Transportation, Oluwaseun Oshiyemi, from Falomo to Ebutero. The LASWA GM explains the latest development in his agency.
We currently have about 356 boats on our waterways. And this is a large consortium of different operators spanning across the 5 divisions of the state. However, what we've been able to get them to do is begin to form cooperatives. And as we speak today, we have 3 major cooperatives on the waterways, because that's the only way truly government can even support them as well. And of course, we have a monitoring and a patrol team which is going around to ensure that people are adhering to the basic safety rules and regulations. And you must attest that over the last few years, we've seen a reduction in the amount of accidents on the waterways in Lagos State. Well, it's always an average of between 1.8 million to 2 million people on a monthly basis. We hope that would increase. But as you know, there are also alternatives now. There's also the rail service as well. Well, it's a private sector driven sector, and for us, it's that's always the way it's been, because as you know, the private sector should drive any economic. Government does create an enabling environment, and through the application, it makes it easier for us to know what exactly you want to do. We also can see your capacity, because it's not just about coming as an individual and saying, okay, I have a boat and I want to run from here to here. What are your plans? And how does that sync into our own plan as well? So the state government has a plan, and of course, if you fit into that plan, you apply, and then of course, if you pass the process, then you're given a permit to operate on the waterways.
Minimum specifications for boats plying Lagos waterways include the length, thickness of the beams, weight of the vessel, maximum numbers of passengers, maximum speed, fueling, machinery, among others. In a few weeks from now, the state government will hand over new boats that will meet the standards to private operators.
The boats that are being constructed right now are actually 25. As we speak, we have about 15 to 17 done. There's a commissioning that should happen for those boats in the next, I would say maybe 2 to 3 weeks. These boats are being manufactured such that they can be given to operators, and also some, of course, it's an intervention that would, of course, improve movement on our waterways. What this does is that we'll be able to move more people than we do presently.
The provision of a monitoring and data management center is already in operation to track activities on the waterways.
This sort of like what you call a modern day control room. And what it does is that it helps us see real time several locations on our waterways. As you see on the screens right now, there's Falomo, there's Ebutero, and this enables us as well be able to see what is going on. We have cameras which are also long range cameras, where from the jetty they can see as long as 2.5 kilometers within the axis of the jetties. This has, of course, significantly boosted all of the activities that are going around the jetty for us to have surveillance of them. This, of course, will also help in terms of response to any emergency that may occur around this area as well. And then, of course, the second part as well is the data. We also have our own water guards who are stationed at those jetties. And as they are taking those data of how many boats are coming, how many passengers, they send it back to the control room. And that is the figure that is put up on the screen. So you can see how all of the data is coming in real time. Through this Waterway Monitoring and Data Management Center, we're able to also take the water depths at different locations. We're able to take the water depths at different locations. And of course, all of this information is going to be critical for all existing users of the waterways, be it boat operators, be it passengers, because we can inform them ahead. Oh, we've noticed that this particular area, the water depth is currently low, and of course, several other things as well. This is just the phase 1. The phase 2, which we're also currently doing right now, is also going to see us beginning to communicate. We're going to have a full setup communication system with the boats on the waterways. Initially, we're starting with our own boats, and then we expand, of course, to the private operators as well. Altogether, entire waterways, there are 40 major routes. However, we have 15 of those major routes. And some of those routes are Ikorodu to Falomo, you have Ikorodu to CMS, you have Badagry to CMS, you have Liverpool to Falomo, you have Badore to Ijede, you have, of course, Ekpe to CMS, you also have Ijego Egba to CMS, but CMS is always like a central point, like a central hub where they usually all come to as well. So the whole idea is that out of 20 local governments in Lagos State, 15 of them are accessible by water. But at each of those 15, there also has to be one mode it connects to, either it be road, and now thank God that the rail has started as well. We also have it connecting to the rail as well. So the whole idea of all of this is to ensure that what we currently have, we can optimize it. I think it's more about optimization of even the existing ones rather than increasing to more routes. No, it's to actually optimize those existing routes. One, to ensure that all of those infrastructure that are there are being optimized to their fullest capacity. So for example, what we'll be doing is increasing how many boats are on each of those routes and how many operators are currently operating on those routes, as opposed to trying to get more routes because you're just populating routes but you're not really maximizing those routes. So it's more of maximizing and optimizing those routes as opposed to just increasing routes. Well, I think our message has always remained the same. It's all about safety. First of all, ensure you always wear your life jacket when you go on the waterways. And of course, if you see anything, also say something. And the state government would like the entire citizen of Lagos to know that we've also started to introduce the use of a cowrie card now on the water transportation system. It has massively started in the Ikorodu axis. We intend to expand that to all other areas. And cowrie card, of course, as you know, has helped to, one, the ease of payment, also to ensure that you no longer have to write your names physically. It's now the use of the digital manifest. And of course, even with every trip now on cowrie card, you're also insured as a passenger. In case of any emergency, of course, we call the usual emergency line to 767 or 112, or also feel free to call any of our LASWA lines, 0809 012 9777 or 0809 012 9888.
Biannual inspection of boats plying the waterways is a compulsory exercise for LASWA to identify rickety ones.
These boats tend to last, 10 to 15 years. However, it's all about maintenance, like anything. With the water operators, we try to carry out a carrot and a stick approach. But it seems like they prefer the stick approach because you know how it is. They'll say, government should support us, government should encourage us. But we're like, we want to encourage you, but you as well do the basics you should do. You'll be amazed that a lot of them don't even want to do the maintenance as well when they should do the maintenance. And they should be the ones who own their boats and maintain their boats. So we carry out that biannual inspection, and then when we find them, of course, when we find that they are at fault, then we make sure they have to correct whatever it is that's wrong with that boat before we allow that boat to operate. And we've also relied a lot on, of course, on the passengers who use on a day-to-day basis. If you see anything to us, make a note of that boat. Immediately that boat reaches any of its destinations, we will make sure that boat is held there, it is checked, and whatever needs to be done is done before it's allowed to operate again. Water transportation will not be cheaper than road transportation. Their pain is like time saving. There's no traffic. It's that convenience of being able to use the waterways you're paying for. So what you're paying for is the time in which you are saving. So definitely, it would always be more expensive than the road. And that's why they've always complained. So for us on our own side is to ensure that they're not charging exorbitantly. And anywhere, of course, the government can come in, which is, for example, providing of the terminals, providing of life jackets every year as well. Even though we encourage the operators to buy, we as regulators, we still donate life jackets to them as well.
While the Lagos State government continues to improve its safety measures on the waterways, boat operators have been asked to stick to the scheduled time of operations, failure of which will lead to suspension or withdrawal of operating licenses.